The White Sanitarium, a sprawling structure perched on a hill, loomed over the surrounding landscape like a ghost from another era. Opened in 1926 by Frank S. White, it was once a place where the mentally ill sought refuge, or where society's outcasts were hidden away. The imposing façade and winding corridors held secrets of countless patients who had passed through its doors. After its closure in the 1950s due to severe flood damage, the asylum became a desolate shell of its former self, slowly succumbing to nature. Vines crept over the brick walls, and broken windows stared like empty eyes into the void, making it a target for thrill-seekers and urban explorers. Whispers of strange occurrences and ghostly apparitions filled the air, fueling local legends about the tormented souls who once resided within. For over 50 years, the asylum sat abandoned, a haunted relic of history, until an ambitious developer decided to breathe new life into the property. He envisioned transforming the crumbling asylum into a vibrant residential community, complete with modern amenities while preserving the historical charm of the old building. As renovations began, strange things started happening. Workers reported hearing footsteps echoing through the halls long after everyone had left for the day. Shadows flickered just beyond the corners of their vision, and odd cold spots would chill them unexpectedly, making the hair on their arms stand on end. One laborer even claimed to have seen a figure in a white gown wandering the upper floors, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Undeterred by the stories, the developer pushed forward, confident in his vision. As the months went by, the project progressed, yet the eerie occurrences persisted. Neighbors who moved into the nearby homes began to share their own experiences. Unexplained noises, doors opening and closing on their own, and an unsettling feeling that they were not alone. Despite the oddities, the first few residents moved in, eager to be part of this unique community. They marveled at the high ceilings and vintage architecture, but many quickly felt the weight of the building's past pressing down on them. The ambience shifted at night. Whispers seemed to drift through the hallways, and an occasional cold breeze would sweep through rooms, leaving residents unnerved. One night, during a community gathering, a curious group of residents decided to explore the old asylum. Armed with flashlights, they ventured into the lower levels, where the original psychiatric rooms still stood. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen energy, and laughter faded to nervous whispers as they moved deeper into the building. As they wandered through the dimly lit corridors, they stumbled upon a door marked "Patient Records." When they pried it open, a musty smell wafted out, and inside, they found dusty files and remnants of the past. Among the papers was an old journal, belonging to a nurse who had worked there in the 1930s. Intrigued, one resident began reading it aloud. The journal detailed the challenges of working in the asylum, the heartbreak of caring for patients who had been abandoned by society, and eerie accounts of inexplicable events. As she read about a patient who often claimed to see the woman in white, a chill ran through the room. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the hall, causing the group to jump. They exchanged nervous glances but decided to investigate, creeping back into the corridor. As they moved cautiously, they noticed a faint glow emanating from one of the rooms at the end of the hall. Curiosity outweighed fear, and they approached the door, which was slightly ajar. Pushing it open, they found the room bathed in a soft, ethereal light. In the center stood a figure in a flowing white gown, just as the journal had described. The figure turned to face them, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The apparition seemed to radiate a sense of calm rather than fear. With a gentle smile, she gestured toward the window, where the moonlight spilled in, illuminating the room. The group stood transfixed, a mix of awe and trepidation washing over them. Then, as quickly as she appeared, the woman in white faded away, leaving the room enveloped in silence. Breathless, the residents turned to each other, trying to comprehend what they had just witnessed. "What do you think she wanted?" someone finally whispered. As they stood in the room, they felt a renewed connection to the history of the place, a sense that the spirits of the past were still present, longing to be remembered. The haunting became a shared experience that bonded the community together. They realized that the White Sanitarium was not just a building. It was a repository of stories, a testament to lives once lived and lost. Instead of shying away from the supernatural, they embraced it, celebrating the history and the spirits that lingered within those walls. And so, the developer and residents decided to honor the asylum's past, integrating its history into the community. They organized monthly gatherings to share stories, including those from the journal, inviting local historians and ghost hunters to explore the mysteries of the White Sanitarium. As the years went by, the place thrived not just as a residence but as a living testament to resilience, connection, and the enduring impact of history. The whispers that once haunted the halls turned into echoes of laughter and shared stories, creating a vibrant community where the past and present danced together in harmony. Though the Lady in White remained a mysterious presence, she became a beloved part of the community lore, a reminder that the souls of the past were woven into the fabric of their lives, guiding them forward while ensuring that no one was ever truly alone. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As the community at the White Sanitarium flourished, the monthly gatherings became a highlight for residents and visitors alike. Each event was infused with stories, music, and a sense of camaraderie that transcended time. The whispers of the past seemed to guide their discussions, weaving a rich tapestry of history that connected everyone. One evening, as autumn leaves began to fall, the community decided to host a special Halloween celebration, themed around the asylum's history. Residents decorated their homes with eerie touches, and children roamed the grounds in costumes, their laughter ringing through the air. Excited for the festivities, Sarah, one of the original residents, took charge of organizing a storytelling session. She spent days preparing, gathering tales from her neighbors, and even combing through the nurse's journal for haunting anecdotes. The anticipation built as the sun set and the full moon rose, casting a silvery glow over the old building. That night, the atmosphere was electric. Candles flickered in the windows of the sanitarium, and the scent of pumpkin spice wafted through the air. As darkness enveloped the grounds, Sarah gathered everyone around a bonfire in the courtyard, where they could share stories under the stars. As the first few stories were shared tales of ghostly encounters, eerie noises, and inexplicable occurrences, the mood turned both spooky and celebratory. Laughter mingled with gasps as the residents relayed their experiences, feeling the thrill of the unknown. The bond between them deepened with each tale, revealing shared fears and fascination. Then, Sarah decided it was time to reveal a particularly intriguing story from the journal. She began reading aloud about the nurse's experiences, her voice carrying over the crackling fire. The group listened intently, captivated by the nurse's accounts of strange happenings and her encounters with the woman in white. Just as she reached a climactic moment in the story, a particularly harrowing account of a patient who claimed to have seen the spirit, an unexpected gust of wind swept through the courtyard, extinguishing the flames for a brief moment. Gasps echoed, and for a heartbeat, the air felt charged, as if the very spirit of the place had joined them. When the fire reignited moments later, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The residents exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and unease. It was then that a local historian, Mr. Thompson, raised his hand, a glint of mischief in his eyes. "Let's invite her to join us," he declared, a playful grin on his face. "Why not set an empty chair beside the fire for the Lady in White? She deserves a place in our celebration." The suggestion was met with laughter, but as they placed an empty chair next to the bonfire, a hush fell over the group. It felt like an acknowledgement, a way to honor the spirits who had touched their lives. Sarah, inspired, stood up and proposed an idea. "What if we leave offerings for her? Just little tokens of gratitude for the history and the connection she represents." The group loved the idea, and as the night went on, they each took turns placing small mementos on the chair: a flower, a handwritten note, a trinket that held personal meaning. It became a ritual, a way to bridge the gap between the living and the departed, celebrating the intertwined destinies of all who had passed through the asylum's doors. As the fire crackled and stories continued, the atmosphere transformed. The residents felt a palpable energy, a comforting presence enveloping them. Laughter flowed freely, but beneath it lay a reverence for the lives that had once inhabited the sanitarium. When Sarah finally finished reading from the journal, a chill swept through the courtyard, causing the hairs on the back of her neck to stand on end. She glanced at the empty chair, half expecting to see the figure of the lady in white sitting there, watching them with a gentle smile. Later that night, as the festivities began to wind down, the group shared one last toast to the spirits of the White Sanitarium. Glasses clinked, and the warmth of the bonfire created a sense of unity that felt eternal. However, as they began to disperse, Sarah noticed something strange. The flower she had left on the chair, a delicate white rose, was gone. Heart racing, she scanned the area, half expecting to see it in the hands of an unseen presence. "What's wrong?" a friend asked, noticing her expression. "The flower, it was just here," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I swear I left it on the chair." The group gathered around, curiosity piqued. They searched the courtyard, but the flower was nowhere to be found. A sense of mystery hung in the air, adding to the night's intrigue. Feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension, Sarah returned to the chair. She could almost sense the presence of the lady in white, a feeling that perhaps she had taken the flower as a sign of gratitude, a gesture to acknowledge the community's honor. As they prepared to leave, the group shared one last moment, standing together in the moonlight, eyes drawn to the empty chair. They felt a collective understanding. The spirit of the White Sanitarium would always be part of their lives, a guardian of their shared stories. In the days that followed, whispers of the Halloween gathering circulated through the community, drawing more interest in the history of the asylum. Residents felt invigorated, eager to keep the connection alive, and they began planning further events, each one dedicated to the memories of those who had lived there. Sarah found herself inspired to write a book about the asylum, weaving together the tales shared during the gatherings with her own experiences. She envisioned a narrative that honored both the living and the spirits, preserving their stories for future generations. Little did she know that her journey would lead her deeper into the mysteries of the White Sanitarium, unearthing secrets long buried in its walls and revealing connections to the past that would change the community forever. As she delved into research, she began to uncover hidden accounts of patients and staff, revealing a rich tapestry of lives intertwined with the very fabric of the building. With each passing day, the history of the White Sanitarium grew, echoing through time, and inviting all who entered to become part of its ongoing story, a tale of resilience, remembrance, and the enduring power of community. As Sarah immersed herself in research, she found herself drawn to the archives of the local library and historical societies. Old newspapers, medical records, and forgotten letters told stories of the patients and staff that had once inhabited the White Sanitarium. With each new discovery, her understanding of the place deepened, revealing a rich history that went far beyond the ghost stories. One afternoon, while sifting through a box of dusty documents, she stumbled upon a set of photographs taken during the asylum's early years. The images captured both the patients and the staff, their faces filled with a mix of hope and despair. Among them, she recognized the woman in white identified in the captions as Nurse Clara. The realization sent a shiver down her spine. Clara had been known for her compassionate care, but there were hints in the notes about her struggles, her own battles with mental health, and a tragic event that had occurred during her tenure. Sarah felt compelled to learn more about Clara's life, sensing that the nurse's story was integral to understanding the soul of the sanitarium. As Sarah pieced together Clara's narrative, she learned that the nurse had dedicated herself to the well-being of her patients, advocating for humane treatment during a time when such compassion was often overlooked. However, the pressures of the job took a toll on her, leading to her eventual resignation under mysterious circumstances. Rumors swirled about her mental state, and Sarah couldn't help but wonder if Clara's spirit still roamed the halls, forever tied to the asylum and the patients she had cared for. Encouraged by her discoveries, Sarah organized another community gathering to share what she had found. She invited local historians to join and present their own findings about the sanitarium. The excitement grew as more residents signed up, eager to contribute to the unfolding story of their home. On the night of the gathering, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Residents filled the courtyard, some carrying candles to light the way, while others brought snacks to share. As Sarah prepared to speak, she noticed a few newcomers among the crowd, people who had heard of the haunted history of the sanitarium and were drawn to its legacy. Once everyone settled, Sarah introduced the evening, her voice steady. "Tonight, we come together to honor the stories of those who lived in this building. We will share tales of compassion, resilience, and the bonds that connect us all." The historians took turns sharing their research, recounting tales of patients who had lived in the asylum, the challenges they faced, and the progress made in mental health care over the years. Each story painted a vivid picture of life within the walls of the sanitarium, revealing both its darkness and its light. As the evening wore on, Sarah finally stood to present her findings on Nurse Clara. The flickering candlelight created a warm ambience as she spoke of Clara's dedication and struggles. She shared the photographs, passing them around for everyone to see. "This was a woman who cared deeply for her patients," Sarah explained. "She fought for their dignity and well-being, and her spirit, I believe, continues to watch over us." When she finished, a hush fell over the crowd. The weight of Clara's story resonated with everyone, and a shared sense of reverence filled the air. One resident, an elderly woman named Mrs. Hughes, finally spoke up. "I remember my mother talking about Nurse Clara. She always said that Clara had a gift, a way of making people feel seen and heard, even in their darkest moments." Encouraged by Mrs. Hughes's words, other residents began to share their own connections to the sanitarium. One man recalled his grandfather, who had been treated there decades earlier. Another woman spoke of her grandmother, who had worked as a cook in the facility. Each story intertwined with the others, creating a vivid tapestry of shared history. As the night deepened, an air of camaraderie enveloped the gathering. The residents felt a sense of purpose, not just in preserving the stories of the past, but in building a future that honored those who had come before them. Then, just as the gathering seemed to reach its emotional peak, a sudden chill swept through the courtyard. The candles flickered violently, and the temperature dropped noticeably. A few people exchanged nervous glances, but Sarah sensed something different, a familiar presence, perhaps. In the silence that followed, a figure appeared at the edge of the gathering. The lady in white stood there, her ethereal form glowing softly in the moonlight. For a moment, everyone was entranced, caught between awe and fear. Sarah felt her heart race as she met the spirit's gaze. "Thank you for remembering," the figure seemed to convey, and in that moment, an overwhelming sense of peace washed over the crowd. As the vision faded, a wave of warmth returned to the courtyard, and the candles flickered back to life. The atmosphere shifted again, but this time, it felt like a blessing, a recognition that their efforts to honor the past had not gone unnoticed. Inspired, Sarah encouraged everyone to keep sharing stories and building on their history. They decided to create a community archive, documenting their findings, personal experiences, and local lore to preserve the legacy of the White Sanitarium for future generations. In the weeks that followed, excitement buzzed throughout the community. Sarah coordinated with historians and local schools, inviting students to contribute their own projects related to the sanitarium's history. The residents eagerly engaged, uncovering forgotten narratives and bringing them to life in new ways. Through this collaborative effort, they discovered hidden connections that further enriched the story of the White Sanitarium. Old letters, family trees, and personal artifacts began to surface, revealing how the asylum had impacted the lives of many families in the area. With each new revelation, the community felt the spirit of Nurse Clara guiding them, inspiring compassion and understanding. The idea of the White Sanitarium as a haunted relic transformed into one of shared humanity and healing, a place where stories intertwined and lives were forever changed. As the seasons shifted and the year rolled on, Sarah's book began to take shape, capturing the essence of their journey. She wove together personal anecdotes, historical research, and the vibrant tapestry of community stories, hoping to publish it as a testament to resilience and connection. But as she delved deeper, she sensed that Clara's story was still incomplete. There were layers to uncover, threads yet to weave. Determined to honor the nurse and the many lives touched by the sanitarium, Sarah realized that the journey was far from over. And so, with her community at her side, Sarah prepared to embark on a new chapter, one filled with exploration, discovery, and the enduring spirit of those who had come before, united in their quest to keep the legacy of the White Sanitarium alive. As Sarah continued her research, she uncovered the final pieces of Clara's story, a tragic incident involving a patient who had vanished under mysterious circumstances, leading to the nurse's deep sense of loss and guilt. This revelation added depth to Clara's character, painting her not just as a caregiver, but as a human being grappling with her own vulnerabilities. With this newfound understanding, Sarah completed her book, weaving together the tales of compassion, struggle, and resilience. When it was published, it became a local bestseller, bringing even more attention to the White Sanitarium's rich history. The community embraced the book, hosting readings and discussions that further fostered connection and healing. They established a small museum within the sanitarium, showcasing artifacts and stories, ensuring that the legacy of those who had lived and worked there would never be forgotten. As years passed, the White Sanitarium transformed from a haunted relic into a vibrant center for storytelling and remembrance. The Lady in White, once a figure of fear, became a beloved symbol of compassion, representing the enduring spirit of the community. Sarah stood at the forefront of this evolution, proud of what they had created together. The past and present intertwined, a reminder that every story mattered, and that healing often came from remembering those who had paved the way. In this way, the spirits of the sanitarium would forever remain a part of their lives, guiding them toward a brighter future. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.